there a place I can scream? Tell me. I need to scream. I need to scream. She looked at me in horror. Service was over about an hour ago and it was my turn to close the chapel. I had to wait for everyone to go home. I had just finished cleaning the pews and vacuumed the rugs. I was going to get the key to lock the door when I saw a shadow by the entrance. It was a woman. She was not dressed for the cold weather at all. It was the middle of winter and she had no coat on, no hat on. She wrapped her hands around her body as she came in. She was cold. Come in, come in, come in, I said. Are you looking for someone? I asked. I directed her to the back pew, but she refused. She looked at me and said, Is there somewhere I can scream? Please help me. She was already in tears. I didn't know what to do. I took her to the vestry where there was an old love seat and she immediately collapsed onto it. I went out and shut the door. I heard the loudest shriek I've ever heard as I walked back to the auditorium. This lady screamed for about 20 minutes non-stop. I kid you not. I was worried. Do I call the pastor? Oh my goodness. Was this a nutcase? Really? Have I opened the door for a crazy woman? Her screams transitioned to loud sobs and yells of, God, why? God, help me. I have never seen her in church. I would have remembered her. I waited for about 30 minutes and knocked softly on the door of the vestry. No answer. I opened the door and sat down. She was kneeling and groaning quietly, rocking herself back and forth. I put my hand on her shoulder to comfort her. We mourn with those who mourn. Did someone die? I asked. Yes, she said. Me. She sniffed as she looked at me. Her eyes were bloodshot and filled with tears. She sat beside me on the couch. Was this a ghost? I was scared. I looked at her, and then she spoke in a voice above a whisper. We met in church. He was a primary school teacher, and I was working at a microfinance bank in Victoria Island. As soon as we got married, he resigned and he said he wanted to find a befitting job. He said he could no longer teach because his headmistress did not appreciate his efforts. He was a social studies teacher, but the woman insisted he teaches English, religious studies, even fine art, and she didn't want to increase his salary. He felt she was taking advantage of him, so he resigned. I was burdened with taking care of the home, but I didn't bother because Greg was a very, very neat guy. Before I returned from work, the house would be sparkling and my favorite pepper soup would be ready. I loved him and I appreciated him. We tried to find another job, but he always said if it was not the post of a manager, he wouldn't take it, so I continued to support him as best as I could. So when we had our first baby, Faith, Greg was over the moon. He single-handedly cared for her while I went to work. He took her to immunization, he bathed her, he dressed her, he fed her. I counted myself lucky. That same year I was promoted at work. We were both happy and things were looking up, only for me to turn pregnant again. I don't know how it happened. I was so depressed. However, Greg was excited and he looked forward to the birth, and you know what that meant? No looking for work anymore at this time. But I was grateful for his help anyway. I think he enjoyed being a house husband because in 3 years of marriage, I had 3 kids back to back and he took care of them while I worked. Even though I would have preferred him to work so we could make future plans, he preferred the domesticated life, and since I wanted peace in my home, I did not complain. He was great with the kids, and this was a big burden off my shoulders. Even though we needed to be more financially stable, he didn't want us to have any nanny. These children were still babies. How would we cope when school started? When they needed books, more clothes, shoes? When one bedroom apartment became too small? Then I talked to Greg about it. He said when we get to that bridge, we will cross it. One afternoon at work, after I returned from a fruitless marketing journey, my colleague chatted happily on the phone with squeals of joy. When she ended the call, she told me her cousin had just won the American visa lottery. I didn't understand. What did that mean? Do people bet on visas? Like, what does it mean to have a lottery and a visa? Imagine the loud laughter everyone in the office made just because I didn't know what they were talking about. But that night, a seed was born. Long before Chapa became a phenomenon, I made up my mind to play the American visa lottery. I regretted telling Greg because he discouraged me totally. Life was better here. Do you want to be cleaning corpses and washing dishes? Where will we put the children? Where will we get the money? I listened to him, but when he slept that night, I saw myself running in the snow. I saw myself sitting in a red double-decker bus. I saw myself in a plane. I knew I needed to set money aside because if I wanted the best for my children, I couldn't continue this way. I know the plans I had for them. I began to make inquiries, print forms, fill forms, all in the office. I didn't want Greg to know about this. I didn't know how I was going to tell him, but I submitted everything and kept the faith. At the end of the month, we got a quick notice as the landlord had increased the rent to 3 times the price. I was under pressure. We couldn't afford anywhere else, so we moved back to my parents' house at Ojodu. It was not easy, cramming my family into one room, and Greg was finally exposed. My father worried not just about his joblessness, but his laziness and lackadaisical attitude towards the future of our children. Exactly a year, my visa lottery email sat pretty in my inbox. It was a happy day. My children and I beat the odds. We won. Telling Greg was the hardest part. Of course, he was disappointed, angry, upset. Choose anyone. But I told him it was just an option. I didn't want to pass up the opportunity. But if he truly didn't want us to go, then we wouldn't go. And he said no. And I agreed. I wasn't ready to lose my marriage, so I left it in God's and Greg's hands. But I knew what I wanted, so I kept praying. Eventually, they laid me off. It was surreal. I just set my laptop up at work when I saw an email from the HR to schedule a meeting with them. I ran home to Greg in tears. I told him I was tired of the stress at work and I needed to rest. Let him go out and hustle. I don't want to go out there anymore. We needed to move out. We needed to buy a car. Faith was 4, she was almost starting school. Favor was 3, Fortune was almost 2. After 1 week at home, crying and complaining, Greg woke me up one night like Pharaoh to Moses and he said, maybe it's good you had a plan B, and he decided to let us go. Wow, we were going to the US. I was so happy. We were so happy. Landing in the US wasn't so easy, but I was determined. Eventually, Greg joined us. I was happy. I became a teacher. Greg also got a job as a security man. He quit his first job that same day because he told me that they gave him a job as a bouncer at the club. Once again, he came back home. From what I could see, Greg was not ready to work in life. He just wanted to be at home. So, I continued my job at the bank, and at night, I helped clean offices just to help with the bills. After a few years, we had settled down, bought a house and a car, and my children were in a good place. I was really happy about how everything turned out. But just imagine how I felt one Saturday morning when I was exercising and Greg walked up to me and told me that he had a boil in his armpits. I was worried. Boils are not usually minor, but the way he said it scared me. I tried to see it. I wanted to touch it, but he groaned in deep pain, so I couldn't feel it. My heart fell. Few days after, Greg gave me a medical paper that stated it was cancer, he said. My brain shut down. He said it was lymphoma stage 3. And that is how we started our journey to the hospital. I followed him to the hospital here in New York. I waited outside while he went for x-rays, MRIs, various scans, and he said the results were the same. And if we didn't do anything fast, the cancer would spread. But he told me that the doctor said there was a wait time for treatment and it would take at least 8 months. 8 months just because of the wait list before he could be treated. It was then that Greg mentioned that he had researched and there was a hospital ready to do the treatment in Ibadan, and this hospital had 100% success rates, but they were pretty expensive. We had insurance here in the US, so treatment was going to be free, but Greg kept backing at me that he needed to go to Ibadan because he wanted to start the treatment on time. He kept asking me, Habiba, do you want to become a widow? Do you want my girls to be fatherless? Then let me go. Let's raise the money. He kept falling ill, losing weight, complaining of headache. I didn't want to become a widow truly, and everything was happening so fast. He wanted to go to Nigeria for treatment, and the hospital sent us a bill of 100 million naira. My head was spinning. Immediately, Greg said we sell our house and our belongings and raise the money so that he can go to Ibadan to be treated. I didn't want to question him too much. I trusted him, but he told me not to tell anyone, that he didn't want pity. And I felt, shouldn't we get a second opinion? Shouldn't we ask around? There must be a way out. But he was so optimistic about the hospital in Ibadan. It was like we're going to start from ground zero. I didn't know what to do. Were we going to move into a temporary shelter? Where were we going to get a house? How long will it take for me to find my feet again? So Greg told me that we could move in with my pastor and I could still get a job, another job, just to support the kids. I drove him to the airport and bade him goodbye. I was distraught. Within 2 months, our world was back to square one. I dropped him off and I saw that he was so anxious to leave. I didn't know why. I love this man. I needed him to get better. But I didn't want him to go to Nigeria. I even told him, let all of us go back to Nigeria together. And he said no, there was no need. He was just going there for treatment and he will soon be back and we can continue our lives. After 3 days of his arrival, I didn't hear from him again. I didn't know what to think. Did he lose his phone? Was it network? When it was 2 weeks, I called my family. I called his own family. No one had seen him. I didn't want to panic. I called the doctor at the hospital and the doctor said he was undergoing treatment. Was my husband really sick? I was just having doubts in my head. It was a month after that I saw his picture. A month after he left. Thank God for social media. His profile picture popped up with a different name. I knew it was him. I knew that t-shirt and I chatted him immediately. Do you know that this man replied me like nothing was wrong? He asked me how I was doing, how were the kids. I was like, what about the operation? What is happening? What about the treatment? Where are you? I hope what I'm thinking is not right. And he told me to call him. I did. He picked up and told me in plain English, Habiba, I told you that we should not relocate that time. I insisted we did. I prefer Nigeria and I'm here now. I wasn't sick. That's the truth. And I didn't want to face any economic hardship when I got back. So that's why I made sure you sell the house. You're very hardworking. I know you'll get money to buy another one. God forbid that I should have cancer. As he was talking, I just got the call. I was like, am I listening right? Are my ears listening right? Is this real? I called back to reason with him. We were still squatting at a shelter. The children were still trying to adjust. Why did Greg do this to me? After the 8th ring, a lady answered and warned me never to call again. She said she was his wife now and she had 3 sons for Greg. And they were the real heirs of his wealth. My duty has always been a provider. I told her she was a liar and Greg was my husband. Just this evening, she sent me a family picture with 3 boys and Greg and her taking a family picture. My brain caught fire. Something in me snapped and I just drove here because this is the closest church to us. I didn't want my children to know. I didn't want anybody to know how stupid I was, how foolish I was. I loved Greg. Why did he do this to me? and she wept again. We both sat quietly. She was thinking of how to pick up the pieces, and me, I was wondering how I was going to get home since I missed my last bus. We sat down for about another 30 minutes, and I looked at her and told her, "You are stronger than you think." I could see her look change. She stood up. We hugged each other, and then I locked the church and we walked out. She offered me a ride, and as we drove, I saw her eyes. You know the look a lady has when she's plotting a revenge. Yes. Thank you for watching till the end. What advice will you give Habiba? Please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.